So they had already named you chaplain because they recognized what God was doing in your life.
So before I even had I had several nicknames. I had preacher, and then the other one was they gave me the chaplain because they said we're gonna make you the chaplain. I go, well, I'll let you know when I'm ready. And so because I think I'm kind of a big deal, and so I was just letting them know. But the next week they gave me the chaplain tab. So that was pretty neat. So they saw me. People were starting to see me where I was before, and I think it might be that people always have. Mm-hmm. So I think I'm the last one to the party on some of this stuff, and so it's neat, and it continues to grow in a really neat way. But I want to go back to work first. The other thing that had to change, and this happened through prayer, and I got the opportunity to do a couple Bible studies, but I changed my work schedule. So in my schedule, I was off Saturday and Sundays. Mm-hmm. I worked very hard to get to having the weekends off, and something just told me to start working Saturdays. Mm. And so I switched my days off to Sunday and Mondays, and I'm like, well, what am I going to do Saturdays? So I just love these people. And I said, well, we'll have a meeting because that's what they want to have. They don't really want to have it. But we'd have an all sales team meeting on Thursdays. Mm-hmm. And so now we get to have one on Saturdays. And I thought it'd be a great opportunity for me to teach not just sales stuff, but just leadership principles, just really good self-motivation things. And they would always relate, though, to I mean, it's when it's written on your heart.
The greatest leader of all time was Jesus. Yeah.
His sermon still.
It's Jesus. Yeah.
So I began to just share, and I would bring breakfast. And so the first time I brought donuts and nobody ate the donuts. Hmm. So donuts are cheaper and they're more efficient. I could have kept getting the donuts, but I was willing to slow things down and pay attention to details more than I would have before. And so I would go to Publix and then I would get different things to see what people would eat. And so I dialed it in about probably the 4th or 5th Saturday meeting. And they started noticing that. They started noticing the service part of it. I would set up the chairs. I didn't hand that job off to anybody. I still haven't handed that job off to anybody. And so it's a time for me to walk through Publix, or it's a time for me to go to, if I'm going to surprise them with, one of the breakfast places and cater that, we'll do that. But I don't have that reimbursed. I don't use the corporate card. Like, this is an opportunity for me, because God's blessed me with that, to just pray for them as I'm walking through the aisles of Publix or wherever it is. And when I'm setting up the chairs, I started setting up the chairs, and this is before I got the church. Mm-hmm. And so we're setting up the chairs and praying over the chairs, buying, up-leveling some of the coffee, bringing some of the favorite creamers. When I found out some people would just have protein bars, so I got their favorite protein bars. And so when you lay out a buffet that is personalized for each person that's there, it becomes different. Yeah. And when it's not just about, and then I started, one of the things I always hated to do at meetings was going around and asking everybody how they felt or what their takeaway, because it takes more time. I was good when I got to say all the things that I wanted to say.
But now you have to listen to them talk. We don't have time for that.
I mean, seriously. Make it quick. But in doing so, I got to see and hear. And I got to see some of the similarities on what oftentimes makes me a least of these, through the worlds and the environments that they come in. And so God always uses, you said before, that I've always had a compassion and a heart for people. And I think it's just aligned more proper now. And the source is more sustainable, and the impact is far greater, and the weight is so much less. The yoke is easy and the burden is light. And so that's just, and when it feels heavy, I know I'm not aligned right. Yeah. So I got to kind of restructure. So that turned into, and the first time I couldn't make it to the meeting, and this is when I knew as a leader that, and I wish I could tell you, man, this was the best strategy. I should write a book, because it is so amazing. But it is amazing, but it's amazing because it's a biblical principle. And in essence, there was just some of the washing of the feet that was happening in that. And it was just the service because I loved them and because I wanted to do it, not out of obligation, not out of pressure, but as the freedom from someone who was given a lot of grace and was given a lot of forgiveness and given a lot of compassion. It compelled me to want to do that for every single person that was there. And so when I couldn't make it because I was out of town, I had them Zoom it to me so I could see it because I wanted to hear what this person had to say. So got up early, snuck out of the hotel, got where it was quiet and just watched the whole thing. I'm like, wow, this is pretty cool. And so when I'm coming back to do it the next week, they had picked someone else to do it again. Well, what went from being cool was, why don't I get to talk? Like, I started this. And as soon as I said that in my head, I realized how backwards I can be. And so now it rotates. Every different person will pick the next person to do it. And every one of them is willing. And there is sometimes, Erin, to watch what that they will literally share the gospel because that's which is okay because they're all employees.
Yeah, they get to.
Yeah. And you'll get some amens and to watch
Wow.
what has changed in their lives, and not just because the market's not completely back yet in real estate, but we were setting records. And so to watch that favor, to watch people be able to and to be a part of. So I had to switch from being the main character to a part of a bigger picture.
Wow.
And it was so incredible. And to share that, it's much like when I thought that I never wanted to do anything but play football until I coached football. And when I was able to coach football and see people get that same excitement that I got. And so it took me to watching this kind of go through and to watch the environment switch and have so many opportunities. I mean, I've prayed with people at work. I have people, like, if they have loss or they're grieving a loss, they will call me and say, this isn't about work. Could you just pray for me for this? And so I switched. I had to change that because I used to, yeah, I'll be happy to pray. I'm writing it down now.
Yeah.
And so now I'm like, do you mind if we pray now?
It's amazing. They're just seeking you out, watching your life laid out in humility before the Lord. And you've invited them into something else without them even realizing it. And now they're walking in new boldness of faith because of you. But all you did was serve them. All you did was serve them.
And I think that it's the heart position and posture that makes the difference in serving.
Yeah, because you weren't doing it for your own accolades or attaboys or anything like that. You're doing it because that's what you saw Jesus do for you. Like you said, that's what I saw. And so now that's the book I'm reading.
Right.
That's the leadership book I'm reading.
Yes.
Is found in how Jesus leads, and that's how you came about it. So in the process, you're having these different meetings, or people are reaching out and wanting to know more about Jesus, not because you were like proselytizing at work, but because they just saw your life different. And then they come to you and you started organically having these different meetings and that kind of thing. And then this stuff with the biker thing happened, and they're like, why don't you start a church? So how'd that go?
So I'd love to tell you that I have a great strategy for starting a church, but man, I just tripped over myself. In the meantime, God was just doing great things, but he would just show me. He still was gentle and humble at heart. But I mean, I was, when I said yes, and I meant the yes, I wasn't sure who was going to come. And then I wasn't sure that I'd be able to keep that long of a commitment. And then I wasn't sure that I wanted to go into deeper water. And, you know, and one of the first messages he had me do was right on come to me, all you who are weary. And the next one he did was when Peter had his boat. And all Jesus asked Peter to do was just push your boat out a little bit so I can talk. I was always jumping to we got to sell the boat, and you know what I mean, and we got to go and be in full-time ministry. So I was jumping to the commitment that I was not ready or willing to make. What I didn't know is Jesus hadn't asked me to do any of those things yet. He just is asking me to push the boat out a little bit.
So good.
And so and that's why I have to stay present. I have to stay where my feet are today, you know, and for so many reasons, because I will get so far ahead so fast. And there's some skill sets that God's given me that allows me to have a vision for a business. But there's also this balancing part of it, you know, and to have a vision. I think I even shared, I shared at Overflow once, to look ahead but not too far. You know, and so I use the analogy, my brother-in-law was in the back of the church. And I said, well, if I'm going back there to give my brother-in-law a hug, and I'm just focused on that, well, I'd miss giving my mom a hug. I'd miss giving my sisters. I'd miss some of the people that I went to Africa with. Like, I would just walk right past them. I'd be so focused on going back there. And so that's where God gave me the message of he's in the detours. And he gives us the vision so that we know which direction to go. But it's more times than not along the way that so many things happen. And he uses that analogy so many times, whether it's the Samaritan woman at the well, whether it's when he's talking about the different people walking past the hurt guy on the road, whether it's the 7 miles he walks on Ananias and just goes, like right after his resurrection, like he's coming back and he's just talking to this couple that we barely ever heard of.
Yeah. On the road to Emmaus?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
What did I say, Ananias?
I like that story too. I was like, oh, this is a new story I haven't read yet. But road to Emmaus. I love that. Yeah. I know. It is a very powerful, just the walks he took, the roads he went down just for the pushing out the boat. It's like, it doesn't seem significant, but it is significant when you put it in terms like that. Like, why would the Bible share that? But it's those messages that we need, that at first he was just like, just push the boat out. You don't have to sell it yet. You don't have to leave the fish. You don't have to do any of that. I'm not asking you to fish for people right yet. I'm just asking you to push the boat out. Such a powerful word. And
so we start the church and we have, 30, 40 people show up. And
you're still working all week.
Yes. And one of the brothers in the biker club comes up to me after and goes, "It's a great message, Pastor. We'll see you next Sunday." And that's when it hit me that we do this every Sunday. One, he called me pastor. Two, like, I don't know what I thought. I thought it was a one event thing.
Yeah.
I thought it was just pushing the boat out a little bit. But, the same heart that God gave me to get breakfast for everybody on Saturdays is the same one and I got to do that on Sundays too. So I would go, because I can't have people over without eating.
Yeah.
Like literally eating.
Yeah.
And so, we started the Dunkin' Donuts thing, and me and my wife got to visit with the people at Dunkin' Donuts and just crack jokes and get them smiling. And they too didn't like donuts. I don't know how all these donut places stay in business, because nobody's eating them.
Nobody likes
We're
them.
buying them, but nobody's eating them.
Oh, yeah.
But so we started going to Publix, because that worked last time. And turns out for breakfast, people like those mini Cubanitos and those little finger sandwiches.
Huh.
Yep. And I got a lot of Pop-Tarts, because the kids like Pop-Tarts.
Those,
yes.
Yep.
So, but it just turned into service. We started service at 10, but everybody get there at 8:30. Well, I got there at 8:30 because I wanted some alone time, but everybody showed up at 8:30 as well.
Because you were there.
Yes. People, so they'd see my truck and people, and so they just, let's go. So they'd pull in, and so we just got to have, we get to have fellowship time. And then service does start at 10.
The Worthy Encounter is July 17th and 18th, and it's for women who are ready for more. It's time to announce to the daughters of God that they are worthy of their calling, worthy to come boldly, worthy to hear God's voice, to steward your authority, and to labor in the harvest. Women who long to see a generation of women who are awake, prepared, and unashamed, who carry the oil of the Spirit and carry the authority of the King, who labor with freedom in the harvest and recognize their strength in advancing the kingdom of God for such a time as this. We are preparing this place for you July 17th and 18th. It's the Worthy Encounter, your invitation to cross the threshold into more of the Lord. Join us when you're ready for more. And you would have people arrive from the community that was maybe wouldn't come to a normal, church steeple kind of place. You opened your doors. Talk about that.
So I'm glad you brought that up. So I got to go back a little bit. So I started going to different churches, and I still had that prayer, God, show me how you move, because I think I had some messed up viewpoints of church.
Yeah.
And so God showed me how I moved in every single one of the churches I went in. I had been to a biker church. I'd been to Assemblies of God. I'd been to Baptist church, Catholic church. I went to some church, I'm not sure what it was, but it was at a Lions Club. Huh. But it was really neat because there was a need in the congregation, and the ladies' plumbing went out. And so they're like, all right, we'll help her. We'll all get together and then we'll vote on it. And one of the other members goes, she probably needs water now. And they looked around, they go, well, we're all here. Let's take a vote on it right now. So in the middle, they stopped service and they had that lady a check that day. Mm. And I really believe that, the Beatitudes set up they go hand in hand with the law of focus. Whatever we look for, we'll find. Mm. And so for the first time in my life, I went into churches looking for God to move, not looking for the flaws. Mm. And so I got to see that. I got to see that in great abundance. And I got excited because I'm like, God's calling me to one of these churches. And just nothing would settle. Mm-hmm. And so then when we fast forward to Revved Up, which is the name of the church at the biker clubhouse, we pray for the churches in our area, because we will not be in competition. Mm-hmm. We will be united. Our church is just simply people that probably wouldn't step foot in that church. Mm-hmm. Not because of anything the church did, but because of how they feel about themselves. Yeah. And so there's no possession of those people. Like, I really believe that as they come in, they'll train up and stay and be able to operate the ministry they're called to be in there. Mm-hmm. Or they'll operate in a different ministry or wherever God wants to take them. But we do. It's people that typically have either been hurt by church or people in the church. Mm-hmm. Oftentimes, all the time, that's usually what it is. Or it's people that just, I have Jehovah's Witnesses in our church. I have 3 Jewish people in our church. And we just simply, one of the things that God showed me too is I'm not after conversion. You know what I mean? I'm not looking for conversion. I'm not looking for membership. I just want transformation. Mm. Because when God began, because that's what needed to happen to me. I've been converted a bunch of times.
I get saved almost every day.
Seriously, we'll do it right now. But that runs its course. But as Paul talks about in Ephesians, when we get that at our innermost being, we get to experience a love that is so wide, that is so deep, that is bigger. We're going to know a love that's beyond knowledge. That's pretty cool. Yeah. And so that changes you. And so that's what we're looking for. And that's what I've seen. I've had people accept Jesus in their, they'll call me up and say, hey, I accepted Jesus in my
closet or bathroom.
In the bedroom, and we baptize people in dunk tanks.
I love that.
And wherever. So it's pretty
too many gators in the open water if you're not near the beach.
Yeah, there's just such a there's a respect, but there's a freedom, and I really am blessed to be able to pastor Revved Up and to see it growing. I don't think if everybody showed up, we could fit right now.
That's amazing. I mean, it's only been a year, and it just keeps. It was like half of them, last time I was there, half the place was standing because there was just not enough room. But the Lord keeps giving you space and time and more people to come and meet the need of, but He's bringing them to you like He always has. And you're positioned now to be, I feel like, the most effective because you've just laid it all there. So now you have people coming to you every Sunday that you're able to feed and minister to and, share time with even before the service, right? Ever starts. Like before the worship service starts, you're with them.
We saw a sign at Africa for Jesus. On the front of it, it says, "We simply do life together." Mm-hmm. And so that's one of the things that I knew I didn't do oftentimes well. I would do the best version of my life well with everybody, but I wouldn't let people in. And so as God teaches us intimacy and to be able to, I have to learn how to be intimate with Him long before I can have intimate relationships in other areas. And He's really shown me what that looks like. And that's at a slow down pace. And that's the most impactful way that I have found that people are receptive to the gospel. Mm-hmm. It is relationship before ministry. People have to feel like they belong before they behave. Mm-hmm. And for some people, it takes a different amount of time. We go through having to have tough talks with some people at church every now and then. Mm-hmm. And some people are going through life, and we're just gonna love them through it. We have the homeless come to church on Sundays and Thursdays, and sometimes for them it's their meal. They may just come in and eat and go sit outside, and that's okay.
Yeah.
They may come in and eat and hang out, and might be a little disruptive at times, but then we have to have a conversation. That's okay. But it's how we have that conversation, and then we look at them and that we see them.
Yeah. There's this song by Upper Room called "Slower I Go," and it says in there, it seems as though the slower I go, the faster I arrive. And it seems to me that has been the last few years of your life as you've really just taken this pace of it's meant to be easy and light and easy and light. And when it's not, you're just so quick to respond, to ask the Lord, why is this not easy? Why is it not light? When somebody feels this like urgency or wants to see their coworkers or they're leading a team, they want to see it change. They want to see the environment that they work in every day change. What would you say is the modality? What would you say is the place of change? What counsel would you give them?
We work backwards as American business culture. And so I would look at the scoreboard and look at the result and work backwards from that. And so for the first time in the transparency, mutual accountability, I had to look at the how we do our job and the why we do our job. And so when we peel some of that back, we start to see what the real issues are, or what's holding somebody back from being successful. What is it in them? Because I don't think that people wake up and go, man, I want to fail miserably today.
No. Yeah.
But we were such in a hurry. And so I'm very fortunate to be with a very amazing company. And they allowed me the time to slow it down. But I knew there would be the results in it. And we're seeing those now. And so I set up a shoot the breeze with Jason. And so we're pretty good at doing evaluations and key performance indicators. And we go, all right, you're not doing well enough in this. You need to do this better, do this better, this better, this better. Mm-hmm. And we it's funny because we call it the sandwich method, right? You give them something positive,
yep.
then you finish with, all right, we understand, And so that feels sometimes manipulative.
Yeah.
Like if I'm gonna have a tough conversation, it's scheduled on the calendar. Hey, this is a write up.
Yeah.
I'll see it too, and that allows that to happen. But because I don't want them to sit with me and be worried about what that loaded thing's gonna be.
Ugh.
And so the shoot the breezes, I first set up with it, and I just went ahead and go, Jason's having a shoot the breeze Tuesday and Thursday from 2 to 6. And I would have thought I would have been packed. Nobody showed up. Nobody. I'm literally sitting there in my office, looking around, and I had a choice right then. Well, that didn't work. And so I just began to pray about it. I'm like, well, maybe explain what shoot the breeze means. So I did, and then I started scheduling people. And so after the first few, it began to catch on. And the shoot the breeze is literally whatever they want to talk about it. Sometimes we just give people the need to know, but sometimes they have a want to know. And so bringing people in that. And so that's where God has me both kind of our message in the church and in business. And that's what's amazing to me, how they don't work against each other. They really work together. And so right now it's been about, and actually this is one of the things that I came up with on our last trip to Africa, which is enlist, equip, and empower. And it's a really basic 3-step discipleship kind of deal. And so enlist just basically means it's got to be attractive. Like if I'm enlisting you to do something that's real stressful and every day is going to stink, probably don't
You're
want
going
to
to die every day.
You don't want to be a part of that.
Yeah.
And so if being a Christian looks like it stinks.
Yeah.
So if you're stressed out all the time, if you're, you know what I mean? If everything's such a task and such a chore and you never have time for the important things, then people aren't going to want to be a part of that. So if everything is going well or the way it's supposed to be, and there's a peace in your life, you know, and you're able to walk through turmoil, and you're able to walk through the valleys, and you're able to walk through successes and still, you know, giving God all the glory, that becomes to be very attractive.
Yeah.
And so you equip people how to do that. And so you start sharing some of the things like we're sharing now with other people and inviting people into that. Yeah.
And that is the part that looks supernatural because it looks easy. It doesn't mean it is. There's a death that's happening for whatever you see that looks easy. There's a death in me that's happening with the Lord because I'm being resurrected in him. As I die, which is just a weird thing to talk about, but it's what we see, what we perceive, and then you can tell the next piece about the equipping. How do you live that supernaturally? Or have you seen that thing where they talk about the Olympics and they're like, could somebody please show me what a normal person doing this downhill ski run looks like so I know how amazing this actually is? And I think sometimes we look at a life lived in peace, and it's seeing the two next to each other, my life, which looks chaotic all the time, and your life that looks like peace. And now I have to ask a question about what's happening in between. How does your life look like that? How does the same situation look peaceful to you? How do you keep peace? Now you've enlisted people into that idea that they could have that too. And then you're equipping them. Well, how did that happen? Well, I followed the source, who is peace. And then you're empowering them to also have this relationship with the one who is peace. And it's just this like slow life of.
Man, you have to set things down. Like the hardest part is letting go. The hardest part is the very things that you've grown attached to or that you've tried to put in place of what God intended to bring value. Because you already are valuable. No matter what you've done, it's not an achievement thing. It's not a lack of, it's not a you did enough or anything like that. It's just an acceptance thing. But the biggest obstacle is you can't accept that until you set some things down. It's like when you and I were on the stage and I got to fill all your hands up with all those pillows and all that stuff, right? And we're just like, God, I need a hug. God, I need a hug. Why won't you hug me? And he's trying to hug. We just got a whole bunch of stuff between us and him. And so it's literally, and that's where he talks about, blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. You have to at some point, You have to get to the part where you mourn those. You might miss it. You might miss it. That's been a security blanket for a while. You might. But you haven't been comforted at this point because you're holding on to the very thing that's holding you back. And so that's slowing down, especially in the culture that we're in, especially with the social media, especially these phones are discipling more people than sermons or the Bible. And that's a problem.
Yeah.
That's a lot of noise, and I have to be on guard with that. I was doing real good until we started doing Facebook Live. It revved up, and now I got to post stuff, and you know. But I have to be careful, you know. And I use it the message here, man. We with the Beatitudes, Jesus is trying to change the algorithms of what's happening, and so it's real easy. Open up your social media and start going through your feeds. Start scrolling through some of those videos, because it's not judging you, it's multiplying it. So whatever it is, you're just getting more of whatever's holding you back. And so that's where Paul talks about be not conformed. Because there is a fight. There is a fight for your soul. It is a life and death situation. It is a difference between peace and chaos. And as soon as you step in that peace, it becomes more attractive than what anybody else is seeing these days. And that will open up more opportunities in your marketplace, at your church. Your church needs ministry too. You know, there's people coming in there for a reason, and we've been hiding so long. And I know because I did. You know, I hid in the pews. You know, I hid as a leader. I didn't know I was hiding half the time. You know.
Well, thank you. We did it. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm glad you shared all that. That was a lot of good stuff. I hope everybody was taking notes. I didn't, but I hope everybody else was taking notes.
It was my pleasure.
I love you.
I love you too.
Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.